There, welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we feature two, three interesting stories in the news, some fun library fact, and get you on your way in about 20 minutes. As always, if you have any stories you'd like us to feature, Creation Station at broward.org comes right to me, and we'll try and get them on the show for you. Today, I have Miss Sheena Sewell, our newest assistant director over there at AARLCC. How are you doing, Sheena?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm doing well. How are you, Bob? And the
It's
universe, the
been great.
meta.
Yeah, it's all yeah. The whole craziness of that is going on. Yeah, I was just at
Yes.
a school today. I did 120 school kids today in augmented reality, and I showed off the hologram from the
From Akiba.
anniversary opening of Makiba. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. How long have you been in the job over there now?
I actually unofficially started in October. However,
Hmm.
officially on job since February 19th.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
That is crazy. Very happy
it's
for you. It's
exciting.
very well deserved. Yeah, you got
Thank
to.
you.
As always, you're going to notice if you watch us every week, we've been featuring Arlic because they've got some really cool stuff happening this year for opening. So we'll get to that later on. Instead, let's talk about these stories because I think these are some very fun stories that are happening today. And our first story is memories. How's that for a segue, huh? So, all about how they finally figured out how we actually store our memories. Your brain records every single thing that happens around it. And this is from
Mhm.
an NIH study. As always, the links will be in the show notes for you guys to go follow up and read this because this one of all of them gets a little complicated. Do you think so, Gina? Huh?
Yes. Yes. But it's super interesting.
Yeah.
I think I think literally it makes sense because that's how our brain works. Like
Yep.
it clicks, but it's interesting that it does that though, right?
Yeah.
So
So
I'm really eager
really
to hear
briefly, it's kind of like watching a movie. And as you're watching this movie in your mind, your brain is storing these little snippets as it's going along. And how they proved how your brain processes this is they gave people the almost same memories. One where it just plays out in its direct thing of watching a film and watching it go, and then another one broken up by commercials. And when it broke by commercials, your brain recognizes any advertisers out there,
it.
you're in trouble. Your brain recognizes that's not important information to keep. And it stops recording that as a memory and lets it go. So if there's a break of something, that's how your memories are formed. That's how it knows to keep this memory because it's got a beginning and an end, and it's there. Is that amazing? I was just like,
It's it's
wow.
super cool. And you know what? It and that's what I was saying. It kind of makes sense because we understand when we view and we watch something a break, like literally we break how we pay attention to something, right? So
Hmm.
let's use a TV show, Jeopardy, right? So we
Yeah.
know when Jeopardy is literally on, we are to pay attention. And as soon as you hear Ken Jennings says, "We'll be back," it's like your brain literally knows, okay, it is a break. Your body tells you, okay, let's go take a bathroom break. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
another load in. It is so funny that it is how our brain functions. I think we thought it was just an opportunity. Oh, it's a commercial, it's a break. It's a break. I'm going to do something else. But literally, our brain has said, turn off.
I'm
Okay,
done. Yep. I'm done. Finished. I'm out of here.
right, new
Yep.
memory. We're off to the new thing. We're ready for the new episode here, which is whatever you decide to do. So that is
Yeah.
super cool that they're actually able to prove that you're able to chop your memory into these pieces. What I
Yeah.
didn't get to because I didn't finish the article, but Bob, maybe you can share with me,
Sure.
is I know they were kind of talking about Alzheimer's with it. Does it talk about
Yeah. So
these
what they've
these
got now, since they know how these things start and finish,
mhm,
they can use chemicals. They can use dopamine, just
right.
uh, into your brain to stop you from breaking the memory.
Cool.
So for an Alzheimer's patient whose
Mm.
memory is going and they stop making new memories, that's because they don't know where any breaks are. They're beginning to figure this out, that, wait a minute, this might be one of the reasons. Your brain is just overloaded, and all those plaques and everything that build up from Alzheimer's stop you from understanding when to do these starts and stops for memories. And now they'll be able to insert something in there into one of your internal rhythms. Their theta rhythm is what they're calling it.
Mm.
And they can make that happen for you.
And that is amazing. I mean, I think we have an Asian population, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
think of parents or loved ones, grandmothers, aunties we have that are starting to lose bits and pieces of their memory, and they may have some of the dementia diseases that are out there, not necessarily Alzheimer's, but it could be Alzheimer's. And to know that there is this very possibility that I know that something's out there already, it's
Yeah.
debatable. However, we're getting so close in science
Yeah.
on how to figure out to keep that memory, to
Yeah.
to
It's,
to
it's,
to
we're
give
getting there.
longevity.
Yeah. Yeah. We're getting closer and closer to understanding the chemical processes so that we can replicate it. And that's when we need to start doing upload and all the other crazy future stuff that's out there, right?
Wonderful things, right? We'll have a plug in the back of our head and download our memories.
I'm okay with downloading. I'm not so sure I want to upload anymore, but I'd create
Understood.
them on my own. How's that? But speaking of forgetting, there's a crazy story out of Africa this week because everybody knows what's going on in the world with the horrible things going on in Ukraine and how the international community has stepped up and put Russia under all these financial sanctions. Well, it turns out that it's hitting a lot of people outside of Russia indirectly. And this is one of those problems because there's a lot of companies in Africa that depend on China or Russia or other countries to help them with their background stuff. And since they can't prove, if you're a bank in Kenya, you can't prove who your customers are because it's all this, on either offline banking, all through phones, doing all this kind of mobile stuff. And so they're getting caught up in the sanctions things because you can't prove this is the person, this is the thing. Yeah, huh?
It's kind of crazy that the continent of Africa has, in different countries in Africa, have this issue. And according to the article, they were saying that whenever sanctions kind of happen, right? It could be
Hmm.
something with Russia, it could be some other country, whatever it is. Somehow, some businessman or company startup in some country in Africa now does not have access to their money. Like it's a
Yeah.
done deal. And they use these sites because of the economics of their country is unstable, right? So
Yeah. They don't have
they
a
need,
physical bank to go to.
right. And so it's crazy that people and I think this is in Nigeria. Yes.
Yeah, one of
So
them. Yeah. Yep.
right. So it's crazy that people in Nigeria just doing, they're trying to build wealth, they're trying to build a legacy for their family, and something that's going on hundreds of miles away,
Yeah.
not even where their bank is located. It could be UK, it could be US, China, wherever. Somewhere far away, they can get
Yep.
access to their money.
Yeah. I mean, it's 200 different countries overall across the global south. 40,000 different companies are being affected right now. Over $4 billion worth of assets, all tied up in this mess this last 2 weeks. And one of the things in the article that really will strike some people as strange is it's because they're not registered in Delaware. And it's just because
The
Delaware
smaller
has
state.
developed this thing of
Right.
being a banking place in the United States where people incorporate for various legal reasons and
Right.
tax reasons. And so all the other investment companies and everybody want you to be incorporated in Delaware. Even if your business is entirely in Kenya, you're supposed to incorporate in Delaware for some reason.
It's very strange. And it's unfortunate because I'm pretty sure this money that they have invested that they thought they will have access to,
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's feeding families. It's opportunities
Yeah.
that they're losing, with other business ventures that they have planned, and all of a sudden everything is on hold. I mean, inflation is happening everywhere. It's not just the United States, it's
Right.
not Florida
Exactly.
or Fort Lauderdale. It is happening everywhere. And so, on top of inflation, instability in their country, in their city, inflation, all of a
Yeah.
sudden we have this other layer, another
Yeah.
barrier that
You
they have
can't
to
now
go
you
through.
can't even get your money. It doesn't matter that
Right,
yeah, you can't spend it, you can't do anything because you don't know why.
right. And
Because
I
some
understand.
middleman somewhere didn't sign a piece of paper to prove which country he was in.
Right. And just because I get the ideal of, you know, the ideal of knowing who is getting this money, right? Knowing that, John in Nigeria is truly John in Nigeria and this is
Yeah.
his money and it is a venture.
Yep.
It is legal. I know there's some
Right.
things they have in
Right.
place
And
just to
that's a
stop
very good
fraud,
right. Exactly.
right? However, I think based on the article, if it comes from a certain place, right? If
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
in the continent of Africa, it kind of is like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Close. You don't have access to your money. They don't
Yeah.
even do real investigation. They don't really try to find out. Work with people in these countries to figure out so they can get
Yeah.
access to their money, which is it is crazy. It's not going to get any better. I mean, this war looks like it's going to happen for a
It's going to
while,
happen
and
for a
so
while, yeah, unfortunately. And also,
crazy.
by the way, anybody who's out there saying, Bob, wait, that's that blockchain story. That's going to solve that for us. Actually, no, all the blockchain stuff's been blocked also.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to get to their blockchain funds either on any of the cryptocurrencies. So, yeah, it's a mess. Now, one of the nice bright spots out of this, though, up until the last 3 days, was the space station. We've had
Super
a
cool.
space station up there forever. It feels like. I know to me it's not, but there's anyone out there who was born after the year 2000, you've never lived in a time when people didn't live in space. 22 years in now, we've had people living in space. And it's worked. We've had wars. Russia's been involved in wars before, too. The United
Yeah.
States has been involved in wars that Russia didn't like when we got into Iraq, when we got into Afghanistan, etc. But the space station stayed calm and neutral, and everything up there was working great. Up until the last 3 days with the new guy, newish guy in charge of the Russian space program, who has
Yeah.
decided to try and cause problems and stuff.
And
Um, yeah.
I like the article how, I'm not going to say scientists are neutral. I wouldn't say that.
No.
However, I think scientists are focused on their experiment, right? So whatever their hypothesis, whatever they're working on, their paper, their thesis, whatever it is, they're focused on getting that done. And so if I need to work with someone from this country to get it done, I will weigh
Yeah.
the pros and cons. However, I think I'm going to end up doing something with this person just because, they're bringing in some knowledge. They're helping me with this along, and so I think I find it reassuring to hear those who are on the space station kind of say, we're just focused on our mission. We came up
Hmm.
here to do something, and we're
Yeah.
focused on getting this done. We'll deal with the politics of what's going on in our countries when we get home. However, we're here to do
Yeah.
something. And so I like to
And
hear.
that's on both sides. That's both the Russians
Right,
and the
exactly.
Americans up there. Because right
Right.
now there's Americans and Russians that are up on the space station. Um,
Correct.
s-
However, I am concerned about that same official who sounds like, because to my understanding, the space station is run by US and Russia, right?
Yep.
So
It's
Russia has
as
some
a
parts that they
joint,
kind
yeah,
of
joint
maintain.
control. Yep, we have,
Right. And
just
so,
like we have Houston as our launch control and mission
yeah,
control over there. We have an same exact duplicate in Russia to Houston. So at either time, both of them can control things in case anything goes wrong.
right. And so it's just a little weird that this official in Russia is kind of like, trying to cause stir trouble, to
Hmm.
make people wonder, is this going to be an issue? Do we need to worry about the space station coming down now because Russia is no longer? But I just like the fact that people on that station are just
Yeah.
unified with their mission. Like whatever that is, we're working together to get our mission done. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
And to hold on to that idea too of the space station is not coming down tomorrow. They cannot do that.
Right,
Russia cannot just turn off the power and the thing just falls out of the sky. That's not how things happen.
right,
A. B, even if Russia decided they're going to turn off their section, which controls stability on the space station, we get we already have one other unit up there as a backup. And we can launch an entirely new section of the space station up there to go do this, even though Russia has said, we're not giving you any more rockets, we're not giving you any more things, because we have NASA, Boeing, and SpaceX already with the engines and everything they need to launch up a new section. And they have enough rocket engines to last for 2 years. So
so
no matter how long this mess in the Ukraine happens, the
mhm.
space station should be okay.
So
Which is why
I
it's a happy story. Even though it's got
right,
one crazy person, it's a happy story.
I'm happy to hear that, our scientists, both Russian and US American, are up there and they're okay. Like
Yeah,
it's like people may think or may assume, like you said, it might fall down from the sky, but I'm happy to hear that they're just
yeah,
unified and they're trying to get that
yep.
their mission done.
Yeah, it's going to be now. And if you were to consider the idea that, well, what happens if Russia just is back out of this altogether? They're just going to pack up their stuff and go home. There's nowhere else for them to go. China has a space station up there right now,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not in a space where the Russian launch facilities can get to
Correct.
easily. I mean, technically, yes, you could, but it's going to do such a huge amount of energy to try and get your stuff up there. If Russia were to back out of this, they would just lose out on space, period. And they would be forced to
I
go to China or to the United States to get launched up themselves later on.
Right. And so even if they decide, which let's say they do no longer want to partner with US, it's going to take them years again.
Decades to get this
Right?
back up and running. Yeah.
Right. So, and no one else is doing business. So all those pieces and parts that you may get from some of your European countries,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah. So even again, we're keeping this a happy story because
yes.
this
I'm sorry.
is
Yes.
no, it is because of all those problems, it makes it where it would be insane to back out. It's like, yeah, let's just leave that up there. We're going to keep a safe, happy space station.
Correct.
We'll screw up things on the ground, but overall, for the future of the planet, we're going to be working on that. And we're
Very
going to
true.
call it
I
safe. We're going
agree.
to call it safe and happy with that.
Yes, I agree. And I'm just
Thank
letting you
you
know that
so much
picture.
for being here, Sheena. Isn't
No
that
problem. I was
awesome?
just gonna say your Picard um
Oh,
commercial on
yeah,
that
there was an
screen
ad for
was,
there. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was very timely with what we were
There we
speaking
go.
about. Anyways, yes,
I don't,
you're
you
very
guys have something coming
welcome.
up. You have something coming up out there, though, too, don't you?
We do. So starting March 25th, we have the Head Above Water Esther Roll play taking place again. Thank you. It's up there on the screen. It is a drive-in. It is outdoors. Great time to come out with family, bring your
It's pretty
lawn
fun.
chairs, or you can stay in your car. We're going to have food trucks. It is a donation of $25 or whatever you feel led to give to us to participate. It is going to be great. We're super excited. The play was written by Darius Dougherty. It's being directed by Bianca Laverne Jones, who currently was in Broadway doing off Broadway, but she's down here doing this. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
It's serious stuff for people. Yeah.
Right, and we're celebrating women, Black women, at AARLCC. So please come out and join us. I'm super excited, and I hope to see everyone there.
And if you don't know who Esther Roll is, or hopefully you know who Esther Roll is, but you may not know, she's a local to us down here.
Yes.
She was born and raised in Pompano Beach, Florida, right here,
That is
right around the corner
correct.
from like 4 miles north of where I'm sitting right now. So
Yes.
yeah, it's nice to see someone celebrated like this.
Yes. So please come on out.
It's going to be so much fun. Let me throw up our final slide. Here's our goodbye. Again, anything that you ever need with stories. And if you want to find your own library or librarian featured on here, creationstation@broward.org comes right to me. We'll see everybody next week. Have fun.
Thank you.